Hi and welcome to this hands-on review of feasible food for Daydream VR. So welcome again, my name is Sebastian and this channel is called Daydream District, bringing you the latest and greatest of Daydream VR. So if this is your first time here and you would like to stay up to date about anything Daydream VR, consider subscribing. Feasible Food is a VR cookbook and you can get it from the Daydream Play Store for €5.49. But now, let's check out the tutorial together.
Put a frying pan onto medium heat. Aim the controller at the pan to the right of the stove, which is highlighted with a red arrow, and click the touchpad. Then aim at the stove and click the touchpad again. If you can't reach an object, you can rotate the entire kitchen by swiping left or right on the touchpad.
Okay, that sounds simple enough. Let me do that. Click and done.
Notice that the name of objects you point at is displayed to the right of your hand. Put some oil into the pan by clicking on the oil, then the pan.
That sounds reasonable as well. Let me click on the oil and the pan.
To the left of the
And
stove is the chopping board. Take the slice of very well dried tofu and place it into the frying pan. If you are ever unsure as to where an ingredient is, just look around the kitchen until you find a red arrow.
Wow, this guy has such a nice accent.
Once the tofu is browned on the bottom, it needs
I
flipping.
had such an accent.
Click on the spatula to the left
arrow.
of the stove, then on the pan. Then rotate your
So
controller
I
down
cannot
as if
only
turning
learn
over a spatula.
how to cook. I can
Alternatively,
also
if you need to skip
change
the
my
motion,
German
you can click
accent
the touchpad again to complete
and
the
replace it
flip.
with a nice UK
Now
one.
the tofu is browned on
I'm
both
delighted,
sides.
indeed.
Place onto a piece of
But now
sliced
let me
bread.
concentrate here on the
Click
cooking
on
and
the
get
pan
back
and
to
then
my
on the
original
plate
accent.
to the right of the stove. Chop an onion.
So now
chop
I have to
something,
chop
first
the
pick it
onion,
up and place it on the chopping board to the left of the stove.
which will come with some chopping motions, I suppose.
Then
So
pick up
I
the
take
knife
the
above the
knife
chopping
now.
board, click on the object and do 3 chopping motions
And I
with
do
the
3
controller.
chopping
If you
motions.
need to skip the chopping motion, you can alternatively click the touchpad again to complete chopping the ingredient.
Okay. Yep, that
Put
works
the chopped
as expected.
onion into
Nice.
the pan. As they caramelize, stir them. Select the spoon to the left of the stove, then the pan. Do a stirring motion with the controller to stir. Once again, clicking the touchpad can be used to skip the motion.
So
Once
these motion
sweetened,
controls,
top the
once
tofu
again, they're
with the
glorified
onions.
button presses because
Pick up
no
the
matter
pan
in which
and
direction
click
I
on the
was
plate.
just stirring, it did not translate
Top the
into
tofu
the real
and
thing.
onion with some hot sauce. Often you'll be able to choose which of multiple ingredients you can add to the dish, though in this case all you need to pick is one of 2 different hot sauces. Close the sandwich by clicking on the plate to finish the recipe. Find a written version of each recipe as well as general cooking and safety tips on the website feasiblefood.com.
Alright, that's it for the tutorial. So I have just cooked something in VR for the very first time. So this was the tutorial, so now I should be ready to go for any of the recipes. And now let's go for the mushroom burger and see how that goes.
First, you need to chop 2 big portobello mushrooms into cubes, roughly 6 times one way and 4 the other.
Okay, I have to find the portobello mushrooms and yeah, here they are. The good thing is you don't really have to look for stuff very long because there are always these arrows which show you where the stuff is to find. And
Stick
also
a
for
frying
the
pan
tools
onto
you
a
need to
medium
use,
high heat and add a tablespoon
like
of
here,
olive oil.
there will also be the red arrows which show you what tools to pick, and then you will simply go for it,
Add
click
the
them
mushrooms and a
together
good sprinkle
and
of
go
salt,
for the
about
next
a
step. It's
teaspoon's
very,
worth,
very
then
simple.
Stir.
Sometimes you have to do these kind of motions like stirring or cutting, and well, like I told you before, glorified button presses, but I think it's still fine. I could still
Continue
live
to
with this
occasionally
kind
stir
of
the mushrooms while they
motion
reduce
controls.
and turn a much darker shade.
Anyways, if
This
you
will
don't
take
want to do
roughly
the motion
20
controls,
minutes.
you can still simply click on the button and they will be done for you. So
Once done,
that is
add
really
a splash
acceptable.
of white wine or sherry vinegar.
So I
or
believe
lime
the
juice
point
and
of this
stir.
VR cookbook is to allow you to visualize the recipe or the steps of this recipe in VR. I have just read a study from Google where they teach people in VR how to make an espresso, and this group of people who learned that in VR, they could do it much better in reality than those people who just watched a YouTube video of it.
Chop up a quarter of
so
an
probably
onion,
if you follow these recipes in VR, you'll be ready, you'll be up and ready to do these in the real world as well. I could try it though and make a real mushroom burger in the real world, take a video and show you. What do you think? Should I do this? If yes, give me a thumbs up for this video. I'm going to try to pick up some other stuff now, and I cannot. I can only pick up the stuff which is needed in the next step, which is unfortunate, I would say. It would be much better if I could take up anything here in the kitchen. And if I could simply mix up anything and if I would have more freedom. So you are kind of limited here. You're simply following step by step how these recipes work. So dear developer, this is my feedback. Give the user more freedom to try out stuff. Of course, this will be much more work on your side. However, it will be much more interesting than how it is now.
Add the chopped onion, garlic and bell
because
pepper
now
to the
basically
bowl
you
with a
can
little black
do
pepper.
nothing wrong. You cannot change the heat, you cannot overcook stuff. It's basically, it's a bit like only watching a video, right? Because you can do nothing wrong. The only thing is like you're looking for the stuff and you can find the ingredients and the tools very easily thanks to the red arrows, which is of course good. However, then it's just like clicking them together. So I believe the learning effect would be bigger if you could do something wrong. There would be a feeling of achievement if you can advance to the next step, if you did something right. But now it's too simple. That is really my feedback that I have now for you. So again, let me try to pick up some other stuff. And now I really cannot. I really only can now put the chopped up ingredients into the bowl and that's it.
Now add 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard.
Now I add 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard.
And half a teaspoon of dried oregano. Put in a tablespoon or so of mayonnaise, crack in 1 egg and cover it with about 3 tablespoons of coarse breadcrumbs.
Alright, I believe that we have now a very good understanding of feasible food for Daydream VR, so I can go ahead and give you my very first impressions of this game for this hands-on review. In general, I really like the idea of feasible food. It's a VR cookbook and you can follow the steps in VR and cook in this little VR kitchen. Now in the description of feasible food it says you can try new recipes and techniques in a consequence-free environment. Now that would be great if you were able to make mistakes in this environment, but you cannot. You're simply following the steps and there's nothing you can do wrong. You cannot overcook the food, you cannot put in the wrong ingredients. You cannot come up with your own crazy ideas and mess it up and try out new stuff like in Job Simulator. So basically this fun factor of doing things wrong is missing here. So if you do come in here into this app with the expectation that you will have a full-fledged kitchen in VR and that you can do anything you want, then you will be disappointed. So for the developer, I believe you should change that description a bit, not to disappoint people. Because consequence-free environment, it sounds so much as if you could try out the stuff and things could go wrong, but then you can start again, but no, it's not like that. Anyways, I believe that feasible food has lots of potential, and actually if you just see it as what it is, a very interesting cookbook in VR, then it succeeds. Because you can follow the recipes, yes, even if it's limited, but you can visualize them in VR and it's a new way to try recipes. So for this part, thumbs up. So for €5.49 you can get a VR cookbook and the recipes will be read to you from a guy that sounds a bit like Jamie Oliver. Fantastic. If you buy a standard cookbook, well, you will pay more than €5 for sure, and you will only have pictures, so I think that's pretty cool. Would I buy it for €5.49? Well, like it is now, no. But if this was a full-fledged kitchen, and I can do stuff like really turn on the stove and put in all kind of ingredients that I want, then yes, then I would buy it for sure. So if it was a bit more like Job Simulator, it would be a winner. But anyways, it's still very early in the life cycle of Feasible Food. This is only the first version, and well, the developer has still lots of time to come up with new versions, and once they're up, I'm definitely going to look at Feasible Foods again. And that's it already for this hands-on review of Feasible Foods for Daydream VR. I hope you enjoyed this hands-on review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to Daydream District yet, do so now. Keep on daydreaming and see you in the next video.
A handful of melting cheese, preferably something flavorful like a mature cheddar.